Hi guys. I hope everybody's doing well. It is a rainy day here in New Jersey, and so we're inside today for our class, right? Class is held inside today. In meditation this morning, I asked what I should share on today. For the collective, what does the collective need to hear today? And I was guided to share on duality and the dissolution of duality that we see happening on the planet right now. In every aspect of our world, right? First of all, for those of you who are waking up now, there's a handful of you that have messaged me since I came back last week. I'm so grateful that you guys resonate with my words and that you're interested to learn more. And there's a few of you that messaged me who are interested in understanding what I'm talking about in these videos. There's a lot to unpack there. I'm going to be coming forward with a video on my entire awakening story and my journey, how I went about what happened to me when all of my gifts got activated and I didn't know how to control any of it and I didn't understand any of it and I had to figure it out all on my own. That's another video and that's coming for you guys. But today we're going to talk about duality and how it's going away. You know, the third dimension that we live in here, this world of physicality, right? The protons and electrons in this piece of wood are vibrating so slowly that it's formed into physical matter, right? Everything you see around you in this 3D world, this physicality, it's being held up by a certain frequency. It's been held up by a certain frequency in order to stay manifest as physical, right? Physical. And as these energies of the planet continue to raise in frequency and vibration, everything is getting less dense. We are moving as a planet. The planet herself is moving out of the third dimension and into the fifth dimension of higher light. It's an entire higher octave of being, right? And so as we move forward in that, things are accelerating at a rate that is hard to keep up with if you're not paying attention and you don't understand what's going on, right? I had a few messages from you guys saying, you know, the whole world's falling apart. As a couple of you mentioned politics, I had somebody message me about being triggered constantly and not really knowing how to deal with anything going on around you. So I'm going to explain what's happening, right? To the best of my ability. So duality, right? Duality. Again, in this third dimension, we exist within the realm of duality. We have, right? For this last cycle, at least. Duality meaning opposing forces, right? Opposing forces are needed to maintain this physical reality that we see around us. Opposing forces such as fear and love, high and low, joy and struggle, right? Good and bad, kind and evil, etc., right? And as these solar plasmic energies continue to bombard the planet, and as the planet's heartbeat itself continues to rise in frequency, in heartbeat, via the Schumann resonance, right? Things are being purged. Things are being forcefully brought up and to the surface in every single aspect of civilization, because it can no longer exist in the dimensional reality that this planet is moving towards, right? So we're seeing on a mass scale chaos, right? Politically, we're just seeing a complete and utter shit show play out. They're getting real sloppy with it, but they're fighting to maintain the divide amongst the masses, right? They don't care what side you take, as long as you take a side. And that's in politics, that's in religion, that's in culture and race, that's in sexuality, whatever it is, right? I'm this and you're that, right? As long as we're in that game and playing that game, we're stuck, right? We're stuck in that matrix program that is dissolving. And so those of you who are feeling extremely unsettled inside constantly because of what you're seeing and feeling, this is the reason why. Things are being purged forcefully because they cannot exist here anymore. And as they're being purged, again, we're seeing these crazy things playing out on the world stage. You know, I mentioned politics. In religion, things are becoming more and more competitive and exclusive, which is not what religion is meant to stand for, right? I had a lady at the dollar store the other day. I forget how our conversation came about, but it was something to the effect of, you know, we got to talking about spirituality, and she mentioned the evil on this planet. People are evil. People are doing dark magic, this, that, the other, right? And I chimed in. She was standing right behind me, and I chimed in, and I was like, you know, when we stop feeding that is when it goes away, right? And she goes, huh? And I go, you know, all you have to do is focus on the opposite of that, right? Your higher guidance, your angelic guidance, your inner voice, your inner knowingness. And she goes, voice? What voice? She goes, any voices you're hearing are the devil. The devil, the devil. That's not of God, this and that, the other. That's not Jesus, this, that. And I was like, okay, ma'am, you have a lovely day, you know? And I walked away. Because there was no talking to somebody like that, right? But she got extremely aggressive in her stance and her belief system of like, no, no, no. What you're seeing and you're hearing is the devil. And I was like, okay, you know, and it made me reflect on like, wow, there's so much programming. Unfortunately, people like that really believe that they're spreading the message of God, right? Of what is supposed to be right and wrong, of what is the only way to see things or understand things or believe things. And that kind of startled me to a place of like, damn, there's probably so many people on this planet that feel that way, you know, when really Jesus and Buddha and Muhammad and Abraham and all of the beautiful ascended masters that walked here, because they did walk here, they were here to spread the word of divinity and help people understand that God is within you. Each and every single one of us are pieces of the same source, right? And unfortunately, their words in every major religion on this planet, organized religion, their words have been taken over and spit back out in the form of, faith to control people instead of set them free. And those illusions are dissolving before our eyes, right? You know, many, many people who are being activated now have no idea that they're being activated. So inside there's this internal battle going on of like your inner knowing and your soul voice knowing these truths about reality and the world around you, but your consciousness isn't making the connection, right? Just yet. So that's why I'm here, and there's many of us here to help. Politics, religion, economically, we see things playing out. We see the divide between the haves and the have-nots getting wider and bigger every day, right? Those who have been in control on this planet since the last cycle are being removed, and they're not happy about it, right? Because the consciousness that they exist at is a consciousness that is vampiric in nature. It is a consciousness that needs to feed off of the life force of others in order to exist. And so we're going to continue to see these ridiculous events and shows taking place in the media, because they're going to pull their last stunts come hell or high water, quite literally, before they make their grand exit off this planet and out of here, back to wherever it is they're going. And so instead of sitting and dwelling on that, what's coming, right, I find myself continuously being guided back to the things that make my heart sing, instead of focusing on what's coming, what stunts are going to be pulled, what chaos is going to attempt to be caused on this planet before these beings fuck off. I've been guided every time I go into that place to rather channel my energy into things that make my heart sing and make me vibrate high. They make me stand in my co-creator energy, right? My God self, my sovereignty. And that's what we need to be doing. And so that's why I'm sharing today. That's what I was guided to share in meditation today, is the dissolution of duality. And again, the things I've been saying in these last two videos, remaining balanced inside, regardless of what's going on around you, regardless of what's going to come. We have to observe and not absorb, right? Pull yourself out, zoom out from whatever it is that's going on amongst the collective, and look down at it from a place of higher wisdom, of higher understanding, that this is all just a simulation. This is a game. This was an experiment created by Source to experience these things, right? But again, the planet can no longer exist in these extremely low, slave-ridden frequencies, right? Slave-driven, slave-seeking frequencies. She's done. So we've destroyed the water, we've destroyed the air, we've destroyed the earth, we've destroyed the animals, we've destroyed the plants, we've destroyed, the planet herself. Her consciousness is moving out of here. And it's our job to help that transition happen with as much ease as possible, right? The least amount of destruction as possible. So as we move out of duality into oneness, into unity consciousness, again, we're going to be seeing a lot of chaos. My phone ran out of memory. Funny how that works when I'm sharing what I'm sharing. To continue what I was saying, we're going to be seeing a lot of ridiculousness, a lot of chaos, a lot of fear being projected and experienced amongst the masses, unfortunately. And so it's our job as light workers to hold the field when these things go down, right? It's our job to constantly work to maintain equilibrium energetically, especially emotionally, when the world seems like it's completely collapsing around us. It's our job to remain heart-centered and right here in our knowingness of what's actually happening on a grand scale, right? All the programs on this planet are heads, multiple heads of the same serpent, right? The Garden of Eden that's spoken about in the Bible, it's unity consciousness. It's not an actual physical place, right? That story is about the separation from God. In this physicality, in this reality around us, right? These matrix programs make us perceive things in a way that make us believe that we are separate from source or from everybody else around us. And they're set up to do that. They're set up to keep us divided and keep us separate and keep us forgetting who we are as sovereign beings, as divinity consciousness incarnate. And so the distortions that we're seeing amongst all of the different programs that are here, as far as politics, religion, economics, science, right? You have a divide in science happening where, you know, the program that this earthly incarnation teaches us is that we don't believe it unless we can prove it. You know, we see this divide in science and medicine happening, right? Where there's a collective who are waking up out of this, you know, I only believe it if I can see it or prove it idea, right? That's the framework of all of the studious activities that we are programmed by in this life, right? In school and in science, especially in medicine. So you see this divide happening where a lot of people in that field, in these fields, are waking up out of that idea of, you know, it's not real unless we can prove it or see it. People are getting activated on that front as well. So that's another example of the divide that's happening amongst the collective, right? As these programs are dissolving. And so the whole point of this video is to explain to you guys the nature of duality, but more importantly, the fact that it's going away. And so as, again, not to be repetitive, but as these things continue to be dismantled and disintegrate before our eyes, it's our job to remain balanced, to remain centered inside and hold the field, regardless of what comes, right? It all has to be purged and transmuted before we can heal it and from it, right? You can't heal it until you look at it and you deal with it, whatever it is, right, in life. So on a grander scale, we see these bigger things happening, but that's the nature of it. That's the gist of it, is, you know, what seemingly is chaotic and alarming and upsetting and all of those other words, right, is really just these old programs that are based in vampiric necessity, and an old archaic slave system, these are all crumbling because, again, as the planet continues to raise in frequency, they just simply cannot exist in that vibration anymore, period, end of, right? And so, like I said in my last video, not everybody's going to make it as far as vibration or choice, right? We're all here on a different soul journey, right? We all contracted ourselves to different people, places, and experiences in this lifetime in order for soul growth, right? That's all it is. Every cycle is an opportunity for growth to the next. Okay, guys, so that's the 4th time that my phone has canceled me today in the middle of trying to record this. So to finalize and to finish up, or to summarize, I should say, we all signed up for all of these experiences, especially in these times, these ascension times, these transition times. At the end of this grand galactic cycle, we all signed up to experience this. So try to remember that, right? Again, what can we do on a daily basis? This is like the whole point that I wanted to speak on today. Do your work, do your meditation, do your daily reflections, do your constant checking in all day. In every experience, if you're feeling triggered, if you're observing something that puts you in a place of fear, if you are having some sort of chaos around you or experiencing something that makes you feel extremely uncomfortable, stop and check in with yourself. Check in with your heart. Check in with your gut. Your intuitive voice and your inner knowingness will never, ever, ever steer you wrong. So get into the practice of checking in, right? Get into the practice of knowing when you're being taken out of balance by people, places, or things that are going on around you. Work every single day to get stronger in your intuitive awareness, in your ability to observe what's going on around you without absorbing it, to observe what's going on around you without getting emotionally charged or triggered, right? Train yourself to have the higher wisdom to be able to zoom out from different situations and experiences and see it from a higher perspective, from a higher wisdom, right? Because duality is dissolving right in front of our eyes, right? And things are going to get worse before they get better. So again, to summarize, these things are going to continue to ramp up. We're all just kind of waiting to see what cards they're going to pull as far as their last stunts before they exit. And yeah, it's our job just to hold it down, hold the field for your family, for your friends, your loved ones, right? But if we're not taking care of ourselves and remaining strong in our own fields, there's nothing we can do to help anybody else, right? Everything around us is just going to go, right? I don't know what that is, but I hope you guys understand what I mean when I say that. So I love you very much, right? I love you very, very much. And just remember who you are. Remember why you're here. When things get crazy or stressful or upsetting, again, rise up, see it from a higher perspective. Check in with your highest. Check in with your soul, right? Your higher self, your God self. And work to remain balanced. So I will see you soon. I love you very much.
When an entire planet evolves, every soul must choose its next experience according to its readiness to embody unity. Some will take the leap now, others will follow in future cycles. Do not despair for those who seem lost in division. They are not lost, only continuing their chosen exploration of duality until they are complete with it. Remember, all paths eventually return to the same source. The higher earth and the lower earth are not enemies. They are classrooms vibrating at different speeds. The light workers and starseeds among you are here to ensure that the pathway between them remains open and radiant, so that all may cross when ready. You are the bridges of grace, the keepers of the golden thread that connects every world back to Prime Creator. There is great excitement in the spiritual realms for what is about to unfold. Many beings of light watch and cheer you on, for they know how close you are to the grand culmination. Every soul is being nudged to where they need to be for their highest growth. Honor this process without judgment or impatience. Each new soul that awakens adds to the momentum of the Ascension. The light of awareness is spreading like the dawn across humanity's horizon. Yet, even as this grand awakening progresses, there are those who seek to impede it and cling to the old power structures. Many of the systems of information on your planet, including mainstream news and social media, are still riddled with distortions and agendas. In truth, much of what is broadcast publicly is influenced by interests that do not have humanity's best interest at heart. We urge you not to allow these fear-based agendas to succeed in derailing you. You have come too far to be pulled back down by the old frequency of fear. Whenever you encounter information or events that trigger fear or despair within you, take a step back and breathe. Remember that fear is a tool that has been used against humanity for a long time to hold you in place. But now you are learning to see through this illusion. Consciously choose to release any fear as soon as it arises. Do not feed it with your focus or give it your power. Think of fear as a mirage meant to distract you from your path. By letting fear go and staying centered in love and trust, you rob those old tactics of their power. Remember, fear is like a shadow, without any true substance of its own. When you shine the light of your consciousness upon it, it disappears. Anchor yourself in that inner light, and you remain untouchable by external dramas. If ever you find it difficult to dispel fear, call upon us or the angelic realms to assist you. We will gladly help lift the burden from your heart if you allow. Mastering your own energy and reactions in this way is an essential part of your spiritual journey into higher consciousness.